Change takes time, growth takes work, but showing up every day is progress.
This is the 365 Proof Podcast, where we share real stories, honest conversations, and practical insight from mental health experts, addiction specialists, and people living the message.
If you're looking for guidance, inspiration, or real insight into recovery and purpose, you're in the right place.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 365 Proof Podcast, where we talk with mental health experts, behavioral health experts, advocates, and people living the message every single day. I'm your host, Daniel Phyfer, and today I'm joined with our co-host,
Courtney Milan.
Hey, Courtney.
Hey.
And today we've got Craig Watson in the building, which we are very excited about. Craig is the founder of Vitality Counseling, and he has moved into different things throughout his career, including construction consultation. He's written a book. He's developed an app. We don't want to spoil all of that just yet. We're really looking forward to getting into it. It's a lot of things that I didn't realize were going on in the trade world. So,
yeah.
Craig, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
So let's get started. You know, you started in substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did you end up in the world of mental health? When did you kind of know, like, this is where you wanted to be?
That was during my undergraduate. I had struggled with depression, anxiety, just as long as I can remember. And I got some help as an undergraduate, and I thought, yeah, okay, I want to do this. I want to help other people as well. So that's what kind of started that path.
Nice.
Gotcha. And so Vitality is based in Madison, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all do adults as well as adolescents, therapy, med management, all that good stuff.
That's right. We do therapy, med management. We will see adults, adolescents. Some people will see children, just kind of depending on what's going on. We found that our patients really like being able to go to their therapist and then also their medication provider in the same building. It's helpful for us as staff because I don't have to spend half my day trying to track down some prescriber and ask them how it's going, things like that. You know, we can have staffings or staff meetings, and you know, I can, hey, Daniel came and he's doing really well. He likes his medication, and you know, I can communicate that to the provider, and you know, we're good to go. So our patients like that. I like that a lot as far as keeping the lines of communication open on that aspect.
That's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love the convenience of everybody being together, staying on the same page.
Yeah. You staffing from a psych perspective and a therapeutic perspective, being able to share some findings maybe that the other person may have not found yet, or maybe, hey, we dug into this. What do you think this looks like?
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, that's two totally different.
So important.
Yeah, it's two totally different. I mean, they're similar, but we find that our providers here at DW may dig into something that our clinicians may not have been able to, or maybe they can get us to something a little quicker.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's and that's another very, very helpful part of it is it's the convenience of it and getting to something a lot quicker. You know, if I'm dealing with somebody and they're like, oh, okay, this person's very, very depressed. They've been struggling with it for 3 months. Let's try to get them in this week and get them started on something.
There you go.
We can keep them in therapy, and that way we have those touch points throughout their time.
And when did Vitality start? I feel like I showed up knocking on y'all's door.
I think you did.
Soon. I mean, that was what, 4 years ago?
4 years ago, yeah. And it might have been just me there,
It's crazy.
And now we've got 7 providers now. Yeah. So, yeah, it was about 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then I came back a couple of times before Carly started. And it was like every time I showed up, it was like we moved from one room to another because there were more people.
I love it.
And I was like, man, I'm buying a little more food for Craig this week.
Right.
You know?
Either he's hungry or he's got somebody else. Yeah.
For sure. Well, that's really exciting. Y'all are in a great location too.
Oh, yeah. I love our location.
Where is the location?
It is on Key Drive, right off of Highland Colony. So we're kind of tucked away right behind, right off Highland Colony, off of 463, across from Primo's and all that. But we're not right there on the road.
Perfect.
And so you figured out in undergrad, hey, this has worked for me. I'm passionate about this. And, we've talked about your background in substance abuse. What did that look like?
So in graduate school, my research was focused on, and my major professor, his research was focused on alcohol and protective behavioral strategies, particularly with college students. And the whole kind of basis of that was you're not going to get college students to stop drinking by just doing a just say no. Mm-hmm. Hey, don't drink.
Right.
So our
Didn't
whole-
work for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
So our whole goal was to just decrease negative consequences. So we would introduce protective behavior strategies, things like having a designated driver, not playing drinking games, not mixing beer and liquor, making sure you eat before you go out, alternating alcohol and water. And what we found was, lo and behold, your negative consequences, anything from, missed class, hangovers, DUIs, all of that decreased when you had a plan beforehand. And so we didn't go up and say, you've got to stop drinking. We said, hey, what if you tried this?
Right.
So that's where that started. And then I went to Clearview Recovery Center and worked there for a couple of years.
Nice.
Fantastic. I was telling Carly on our tour that, to start off in community mental health substance abuse, you see so much, and you get to learn so much because you guys know this. You're not just treating addiction. You're not just treating substance use disorders. You are treating trauma, co-occurring disorders, all of it.
Right.
And so to be just like fresh out of school and kind of thrown to the wolves like that, it was really great.
You dove right in. We've worked closely with Clearview and Crossroads. Was Esther Faye there when you were?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
That's they do a good job.
Yeah.
For community mental health, as we know in Mississippi, is a major challenge for the people that are in it, just because there's not a lot of resources that are thrown at it, and not everybody wants to dive right into that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of resources in general. One thing I found about the people who work in recovery, there's some sort of passion and tenderheartedness that, you're like with Esther, that just kind of helps even the community mental health centers run, and people can still heal.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Okay, so fast forward. And were you in private practice before you decided to open up shop at Vitality?
Yeah, I'll just kind of take you through it. I took a job at the W in Columbus, working as a therapist there. Then I took a corporate job, and this will tie into some of the stuff later. Okay. Took a corporate job, hated it. And that's when I did that for about a year. But in that time, I was like, okay, I got to get back to therapy. So I started just kind of trying to do private practice at that time as well. Then I got connected with a group who I worked with for 4 or 5 years, and after working with that, and still love those people over there. They're great people. And then I decided, okay, I want to open my own clinic because I want to do the med management, and the therapy in the same place.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
It's we get to watch the transformation that is a PLPC into an LPC and an LPC-S, and we are blessed to have a lot of fully licensed people here and some provisionally licensed people here, and just sadly in inpatient treatment, it's like we're worried every time somebody gets their LPC that they're just going to bail, but they love it here, and we want to keep them. But I mean, that's the goal, right? I mean, that's for a lot of people is to, I'm going to open up my own thing and just, because burnout is real in an environment like this, especially in a community mental health environment. And I'm sure it is at a private practice level as well.
Yeah.
What does managing that burnout look like for you?
I don't do a great job at it.
Yeah.
I'm just being transparent.
Yeah.
Managing the burnout. I'm always, or I think I am, trying to talk with my staff about paying attention to burnout and taking breaks and setting up boundaries and things like that. I can't say that I've done a fantastic job of managing it myself.
I don't know who does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, I'm not even a therapist, and I struggle sometimes, but
I do think, as therapists, we just hear so much, and as firm of boundaries as you think you put in place, you can't help but to carry some of it with you from time to time. So I do think just having some daily routines and daily practices helps with that a lot, whether gym, meditation, prayer, whatever that looks like for the person, but just having those healthy habits in there on a regular basis, because it gets to be a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt.
It gets heavy.
Okay. So tell us, how in the world did you get into the construction thing? I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah. And so just to clarify for everybody, I've got Vitality Counseling. I'm a therapist, own that clinic. We've got like 7 providers. And then at the same time, I've got a consulting business where I work primarily with construction companies on leadership training and development. That all came about because in that corporate job I was talking to you about, they kept sending us to these management leadership trainings. and they weren't good, but I was sitting in there and I was like, okay, they're just trying to use psychology, but they're not doing great at it.
Right.
And so when I went into private practice, I always knew that that was something I was interested in. I got connected with the Electric Power Association and started doing a few things for them. Then I got connected with a president of a construction company who, and we can get into this too. So there's a crisis of not having enough skilled laborers in the construction industry. Right. So we got the boomer generations moving out, and those, and probably millennial generation, my generation and younger, not as many. The last statistic I presented to somebody was like 40% moving out, 25% coming in. So, you know, we don't have to be mathematicians to recognize that those numbers aren't gonna equate. So there's a big knowledge gap in trying to get that information from the seasoned people down to the younger people. A lot of reasons behind that. You know, people advocated going to college over the trades and things like that. So one thing I do is I come in and I help kind of bridge that communication gap, because you got, you know, your guys who've been doing it for 30 plus years. And then the people who didn't necessarily grow up on a farm, didn't grow up operating equipment and trying to teach that. It's very difficult. So talked to the president of this company, and he was like, look, my leadership's 10 years or less from retiring. And, you know, we've got a 20-year gap there. So we need to find a way to do this. So started with that, and it kind of snowballed. And my dad worked in construction for 40 plus years. So I think being around him, knowing the people, being around the job sites has helped, because trust me, when a therapist shows up on a construction job site, people are not, you know, very open. People are not very open at that moment. So anyway, so that was about 2018, and I've loved it. It energizes me. It's been, so I put a book out last year. Me and a good friend of mine put out Construction Leadership Field Manual, which just talks about how to find motivators, how to communicate, how to have hard conversations. And I have a whole framework of how to have hard conversations with people. And they typically like that, building the culture you want, and then how to coach people. So honestly, it's a lot of taking a treatment plan, but then applying it to the workforce.
Right.
You know, it's like, here's the goals I want you to meet, you know, by this point, here's your strengths, that type of thing. So the skills kind of naturally cross. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. This may be a silly question. What does like a real hard conversation look like? Like, help me understand what that means.
So,
like an example.
Yeah. One thing that I've found so construction is a male-dominated industry, and men can have no problem being overly aggressive, but they'll either be avoidant or just overly aggressive.
Gotcha.
And so, hard conversation. All right, Daniel, I'm going to use you as an example. Let's say I'm your foreman. Daniel, you've been working with me for 2 years, but over the past month, you've showed up late to work about 3 times. I hear you're going through a divorce, and I also hear you've been drinking a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know these things, but I hear that. So I try to coach these guys on how to have that conversation. So,
Gotcha.
If you want me to go through the framework, I can. Or,
well, I can imagine for the overly aggressive guy, it's like, get your stuff together and get to work on time, or else we're going to fire you.
Right. It's get to work or you're fired.
Or it's, I'm not going to speak to you because you disgust me. Kind of. I mean, it may not be that, but as a young person, you know, speaking from, I have some manual labor experience working in the oil fields in the summers when I was younger. And when I show up out there, they just want me to not complain.
Right.
If I work and don't complain, I'll be fine. But the intimidation level for somebody in that gap you're talking about is substantial. Yeah.
And as we all know, like, so maybe some of that stuff is going on at home or whatever the case may be. So to your point, it's either I'm not going to say anything because that's not my business, right? That's not my role. Well, it becomes my role if you're not sleeping, you maybe you are drinking, you're operating heavy equipment or whatever. Just construction sites are dangerous regardless. And so now you're in danger, but you're also putting our crew in danger and the public as well.
Yeah. In our business, I mean, there's a huge liability there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Courtney.
Yeah, very.
You know, I've felt that before. I mean, I've felt it where I showed up and I'm only, you know, I got to go back to school. So I'm going to be here for 2 months.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm the grunt. I need to do what I'm told. I'm like, all right, I don't know these guys. They've been working out here for decades. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
You know,
Just
I
get to
know
work.
enough.
Yeah,
Just
just
get to work. Don't complain. But I did find that it wasn't the way I thought it was going to be as far as personal relationships went with a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that it could have very easily gone the other way.
Well, are you saying like you met some great people?
Yeah, I met some great people.
Yeah.
They helped me. I think once they saw that I was willing.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
right? So best people in the world, if you keep your head down and work and you show that you're willing, then they'll start paying a little bit of attention to you. I can't say that I blame them, but one of the things that I work with them on is, hey, let's try to identify the Daniels. Let's try to identify the people who show potential. Maybe they do, maybe they don't stay here forever, but let's try to just speak into them, try to help them grow a little bit. So like that summer you worked, you know, I want to pull you to the side and say, Daniel, I know you're going back to school. You know, here's some things I see in you. And that kind of conversation, a lot of people never have that conversation in their life. You know, somebody says, hey, you know, this is what I see in you and I think you can get here. You know, well, then all of a sudden, well, you believe in me, so I'm going to work a little harder,
Right.
a little
Definitely.
further. Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The difference. Just
absolutely.
a sentence.
Yeah.
You know.
So it started out with this one organization, but it's blossomed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what does that look like now?
That looks like a lot of travel.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's the coolest thing I've ever done. It's energizing. It is. So I do some work with MDOT here and there. I've got about, at this point, 5 to 6 companies that I'm working with on a regular basis.
Wow.
Some are like in the weeds monthly. Some are more just, hey, pop in and out every now and then.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I go all over the state. I go up to Missouri. I mean, it's been great.
So it's going from, now you're regional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing.
Regional. There
That's
you go.
crazy. So talk to us about some of the statistics. That is what, before we got together in here officially, when we were kind of sending each other notes and looking at some of this stuff, I mean, Courtney and I were talking, we didn't realize, I mean, we treat a lot of blue collar people here.
Mm-hmm.
We're very aware that substance abuse and mental health are major challenges in those types of industries. But to see that, trades and constructions are the second highest suicide rate amongst occupations, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, that's not something we didn't know. I mean, we had no idea.
It's not something that's on a lot of people's radars. So it's depending on what year you're looking at the statistics, it's either first or second highest amount of suicide amongst any occupation. Okay. First or second is still really high,
For sure.
So of course, with my mental health background, and so I'm going in here and I'm doing these leadership trainings and we're having hard conversations. And Daniel, I think I've told you this before, but I've dealt with more suicides and suicide attempts in my short time working with construction companies than I have in 15 years of clinical practice.
Wow.
I had no idea.
I mean, hands
Wow.
down, easly more.
Wow.
So that, while anecdotal, definitely lines up with those stats.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons behind that. We can get into that if you like. But yeah, so that was obviously a huge problem. And these companies don't want that, but a lot of times they just don't even know what to do or how to handle it. So I developed this app based off of the Columbia Protocol, which you guys may be familiar with. It's been around for years. Well, I got with the folks at Columbia University, and we tailored the app specifically to the construction industry. The app's called Hard Hat Help. It's free to everyone.
I love the name of it.
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks.
It's great.
And all it is like if I'm your foreman or superintendent, I'm going to probably notice something's off with you before you do. I tell people all the time, if I'm sinking down in a hole, I don't realize it till I've been in that hole for a while. But my spouse will realize it. The people I work with will realize it. When you're in construction, those people, you spend far more time with those people than you do your family.
Those are long
right?
days.
And so what I'm trying to do is train their leadership and their coworkers, because like I said, I'll probably notice it before you do if you're in the middle of it. And so what I'll do there is hey, Daniel, let's say, I'll go back to my example earlier. Is it okay if I just kind of take you through the whole?
Let's go. We got plenty of time.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's go back to the hard conversation. So I do a framework. Number one, let them know what you're going to talk about. So, hey, Daniel, I want to talk to you about your work performance. You've been showing up late to work, and we're going to address that. Number two, let them know how you want it to end. I'm a big fan of the contrasting statements, meaning something like, What I don't want
Mhm.
is for you to think this is a big attack on your work. What I do want is to walk away from here with clear expectations on how we're going to correct this moving forward, and then get their buy-in. I always say, does that sound good to you?
Mhm.
And they're always going to say, yeah, that works or whatever. If they don't, well, then we got another conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
But
Pivot.
what that does is get them more in problem-solving, collaborative mode. So let them know what you're going to talk about. Set the expectations.
Mhm.
You know, how do you want it to end? And then get their buy-in. So let's say, hey, I want to talk to you about this. I'm not going to bring up, I always tell people, I'm not going to bring up that I've heard you've been drinking a lot. I'm not going to bring up that I heard you're going through a divorce, because I don't know that. If I say that, what's the first thing you're going to say?
All my buddies are talking about me, and
Yeah.
you know, everybody's against me.
You don't know that? Have you seen me
Yeah.
do that? You know,
You don't know me. Yeah. all
we're
that.
completely off the problem, right? The problem is you're showing up late to work and your performance has slipped. So, you know, say, hey, you've shown up late for work, your performance, you're not as productive as you usually are. That's really out of character for you. And then I always kind of coach them up to say, is there something you want to tell me? If at that point you want to tell me, look, I'm going through a hard time at home, and you know, yeah, I've probably been drinking more than I should. I need to cut back. All right, you can tell me that. But if you choose not to, all right, well, so what are we going to do to fix that? All right, well, I'm going to set 2 alarms. I'm going to make sure I hear you're not going to have a problem with that. All right, just letting you know, if that continues to be a problem, I'm going to write you up next time. Then you're going to be fired.
Mhm.
I don't want to lose you, Daniel.
Yeah.
You're a good worker. This can't go on. So if there's something you need from me, let me know. You know, so I'm opening that door.
Mhm.
A lot of supervisors are like, that isn't my place or anything like that. But as we just talked about, it kind of is,
Mhm.
because if you start putting yourself, your crew, the public in jeopardy and working unsafely, then yeah, it's an issue. Let's say, so how a hard hat help gets incorporated there. And this is, I have several examples, but here's one. Let's say you come up, you tell your foreman, man, that's just, things are rough at home. I've just been having a lot of dark thoughts lately. So, well, Courtney, what do you do with that?
Panic. I mean,
Panic?
yeah,
Yeah.
like you're having dark thoughts about what?
Right.
What's going on?
And most of your supervisors, most people, while well intentioned, we're not trained on what do I do
Right.
with it? What do dark thoughts mean? You know?
Right.
So that's where, you know, kind of train the guys, say, okay, if you hear something like that, ask the question. So, but if I ask the question, what are your thoughts, and are you having thoughts hurting yourself? If you ask me that question, what are you thinking? What happens if Craig says yes?
Right.
What do I do next?
Right.
Right.
So we developed Hard Hat Help, and it's got risk factors specific for the construction industry, which are a little different. And I try to help incorporate this with people. So it's male dominated, so you're going to see it as anger and irritability,
Mhm.
loss of sleep, physical pain. It kind of manifests more as physical pain, increased substance use, financial issues, all of that. And when we start to look at the whole picture, well, not only are you having problems at home, but also it's been raining all month and you haven't been getting as many hours in. So now we've got a financial issue. You've been drinking more. Now we got substance. So now your risk factors are rising, right?
Yeah.
So you just pull out the app and say, hey, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. This guy Craig came and taught me how to do this. So we're going to ask you a couple of questions. And so it's just guided questions. And and that's where the Columbia protocol comes in. And it says, you know, have you had thoughts hurting yourself? Because again, if we're not trained in that, I tell people all the time, if you're not trained in that, it's a very uncomfortable question. I'm so used to it. That's how I introduce myself. Hey, Craig Watts, have you had thoughts killing yourself today? You know, that's how I introduce
Right.
myself. But if you're not used to that, it is difficult. So just kind of, have you had thoughts hurting yourself? Have you written a note? Have you made any kind of plan? Do you have support? All of those questions. Then at the end, it will tell the user if they're at severe, moderate, or low risk. And it will also give you some steps to take, which is the big part.
Yes.
So if it's severe, you can let it use your location and it will pull local resources. Obviously, it'll give you 988, the suicide hotline, but it'll also give you local resources to call right then and there. It'll say, stay with the person, you know, don't leave them. Because I have had incidences where people have called and said, yeah, this guy told me he was going to hurt himself, so we just sent him home for the day. And I was like, yeah, let's try to
not do that.
Yeah, let's try to follow up.
Yeah.
Which again,
they don't know.
They're not trained. You know, that's
Right.
I get it. And so it'll tell you what to do. And then moderate, it's like, okay, let's try to they're not in immediate danger, but stay with them, help them set something up, and then low, it kind of tells you, look, they sound fine, but you still probably want to get them evaluated if you're concerned.
Right.
I think that's a big help because while almost all companies have some form of health insurance or EAP benefit, the gap comes in. It's like we come once a year, here's your benefits, sign here, see ya. Well, and then something happens, or maybe you just slip, and I don't know what that number is. And man, if you try to call one of those numbers and you don't get through, or somebody doesn't call you back, that point of friction hurts. So basically, it's like in recovery, it's a warm handoff, right? And I'm trying to get the supervisors or just anybody in the field to do that warm handoff between. And I always tell people, you don't have to be a mental health expert. You don't have to know the right things to say. Just be there, just show that you care.
That's it.
And direct them somewhere. And that's all we're trying to do is just kind of fill that gap.
And that, they call that number, they can't get through to anybody. They may only want to call that number one time.
Well, there's so much shame.
Yeah.
There's shame in me even having to pick up the phone. And so again, male dominated is very tough, gritty culture. The idea of talking with somebody is just, it's non-existent.
Right.
For sure.
And that did happen to me recently. I was in another state. Guy had an incident. We're trying to call, and I couldn't get anybody to answer the phone. I came back home, brought my admin a gift certificate, and said, thank you. So I know you answer the phone when we call, and if it's not the right place, we'll get them somewhere. But that extra point of friction, that extra barrier is really, really tough.
Right.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I just think that app, I mean, it fills a huge gap. Like, I mean, I know people that work in, I'm thinking about our field, people that maybe have been sober for a while and they relapse, right?
Yeah.
They work in treatment, or, maybe they do something and their job's in jeopardy. The shame that comes with that is also, I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I'm just thinking about where this is in other industries as well, and how an app like that, even outside of construction, could probably be, super beneficial.
Oh, absolutely.
For everybody.
Yeah,
Right.
We're just trying to bridge that gap between finding some resources and some help available. And not only is dying by suicide horrible, but if you do look at it from a business perspective, which, I talk with a lot of owners, that's what we're worried about. And I shouldn't say it like that. The owners do care about their people.
Of course.
But the amount you lose in losing that employee, productivity, their other team members who are suffering now because they've lost somebody that they care about, that they've worked with for 60 hours a week for, years.
That was going to be my next question, is what is that? I don't want to use the term damage control, but when something like that happens and it's a group of guys who've been together for decades, what's the help look like for those guys when something like that maybe happens?
Yeah. So, and I always advise from a company level, we acknowledge it. We don't, act like it didn't happen. Yeah. So we're going to acknowledge it. We're going to send everybody email blasts, remind them of the resources we have available. And I always tell them what I see is about 8 to 9 weeks out, the other guys are going to start getting really irritable, because that's where their grief process is now kicking in. They're going to start to get really irritable. You're going to see some behavioral things out of them. And sure enough, it almost always happens, and you start to see it. But so I try to let whoever, if this person died, whoever is on their leadership team, let them be aware of that, stay in contact with them. So the biggest things, though, is, it's the postvention. It is the, let's acknowledge it. Let's show you the resources. Let's talk about it. We don't want to sweep it under the rug.
Right.
Because
that's what they're used to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's the majority of construction companies, blue collar, whatever the case may be. That's exactly what they're doing.
I think that's the majority of
Everything.
companies.
Yeah.
Interesting. What are some common trends you've seen with some of these people who've died by suicide? I mean, is there a common denominator? Is there an age? Are there any trends? Is it mostly home life stuff? Is it the younger guys? Is it the guys that have been doing it for longer? Or is it just kind of all around?
Well, that's one thing I'm interested in. And so on the app, it says, like, how long have you been in the field? 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10, anything like that. I can't speak specifically. I do know that every time this has happened and I start to dig in a little bit, I see all those risk factors just lighting up across the board.
Right.
You know?
So with the information that you're getting in the app, are you able to collect kind of data to see if there are any trends or anything like that?
Yes. I am not doing any of that.
Yes.
So that's all Columbia's gonna do
Perfect.
that. If
They're good
interested.
at it.
Yeah. They've got the resources and the staff to do it. I don't have any more time on my plate to start doing data analysis.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have some questions in there to kind of, so 2 of them that I asked them to incorporate: how long, and do you have support?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
And
2 big questions.
Are all the employees required to have the app? I mean, I think it should be mandatory.
Right. No, they're not. And so right now the goal is getting as many people's hands as possible. Let people know that's there. I tell all the construction guys, it's like having a pipe wrench. I don't need it every day. When I need it, it's sure as handy to have.
I like that.
So they're not required. It's free, but I am trying to just kind of push it. Just like, hey, it's free. Download it. Just keep it on your phone.
Right.
Keep it on your phone. You don't think you'll need it, but when you do, you'll have something. I give them my number. Like, we will figure something out.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really cool that it automates resources.
Mhm.
Now, are those based on location? And what does that look like? If you have somebody in Missouri, you may not be familiar with all the resources up there. So if they say yes, or they're, at a high risk or a moderate risk, does it populate something from that area?
It does. Yeah. You use the location. It just pulls from the SAMHSA database.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And so it'll pull from that database. So I know in this area, like Region 8 will pop up, and there are some other places. But to your point, like if I'm out of state or anything, it's just going to pull from that SAMHSA database and say, here are some numbers you can call local resources you can get to, immediately.
And typically you just push a button, push the number, and it starts dialing,
Yeah.
which is, modern technology
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Wow. How long's the app been developed now?
Released it in August.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So not long.
You've been busy, man.
It's been very busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in August. And again,
Awesome.
the main thing is just we want people looking out for each other.
Yeah.
And they do. They look out. They're not going to let you back into something or anything like that. And so just like we have spotters for heavy equipment, we want the spotters for your personnel as well.
Mhm.
And like kind of to your point earlier, best people on the planet. Like they do care about their crew. They care about each other. They just don't always know what to do. And again, very well intentioned. They'll say, hey, all right, you want to go grab a beer after work or something? And again, well intentioned. It's just that's not always the most helpful thing.
Yeah,
Right? No.
definitely.
Right.
Well, that's very interesting. I mean, like I said, Courtney and I were like, wow, we didn't realize.
I mean, it makes sense. Though.
Yeah,
It
Really
does.
Now that you talk about it, it does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, you've got people from, trauma backgrounds and just rough and gritty people. You've got it's male dominated culture. We're very gritty. We're not going to talk about things. You also, like, just as men, we don't know what we're feeling most of the time. We're not
No.
taught that. I'm a little bit more familiar with it because I've been doing this for 17 years, I guess, total. But I still am not
Yeah.
great at identifying what I'm feeling as a man because that's how we're kind of ingrained. Just
For
push
sure.
through.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to go eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either going to
Right,
eat, or if
me
I can
too.
work harder,
Yeah.
then it'll go away.
Yeah. Let me
Exactly.
pull out my laptop
Right.
and just see if there's anything I can get on top of it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you've been busy.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
It's been really busy. It's been a lot of fun. The book has helped out a lot, just being able to write everything down and then kind of have a process.
Right.
Yeah,
That's very helpful.
Yeah. It's been great.
What's next for you?
Oh,
You need a break?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where do you see it going? I mean, like, how far do you want it to go?
and that's the thing. I think we've got a lot of the tools in place to have it go far. And just if I'm being quite honest with you, like, I'm a bit torn. There's part of me that wants to be at Vitality always. There's a part of me that wants to do consulting always, and that's not possible.
Right.
I would think the next steps is just finding a way to roll this out in a scalable way, because right now it's just me going into companies,
Right.
and I'm very grateful for the opportunities, but I'd like to get it a way to where we could get more people involved.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
I think you're doing incredible work.
Well, thank you.
I mean, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Is there like a personal line you have with some of the organizations you work with as far as you being a therapist and you being a leadership consultant per se? Is that, I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, no, there is. And I make it very clear, and we all sign agreements that I'm not acting in my capacity as a therapist.
Yes.
I am doing leadership consultation, and if you do need mental health therapy, we will absolutely refer you, and that's what I do. I'm too familiar with the organization, and so we focus just on career.
Okay.
But if
Perfect.
they tell me they're struggling with something, I'll certainly okay, let's call this guy, or we'll get you out to defining wellness, whatever whatever we need to do.
Right.
With this younger generation of people, how beneficial has it been for you to see these leaders, these guys that have been doing this for a long time, mentor? I mean, I can't express how valuable mentorship has been in my life. In an industry where that may not be as attractive or whatever, have you
Glamorous.
Have you seen some of these young guys really? Because like you made that comment earlier, you believe in me,
Right?
that's powerful,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I could see just even that one simple conversation
Right.
showing a young man in a male, I say man because of the male dominated
Yeah.
industry, but how valuable have you seen that be in that space?
I want to frame it up like this. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of discussion about this generation doesn't want to work. This generation doesn't want to work. That's not true. And what ends up happening is you have like a young guy who's sitting there saying, well, I want to work and I'm okay. I'd like to learn more. And then you have people in both ends of the spectrum throw their hands up. This one says, I don't want to work. This one says that he doesn't want to teach me.
Yeah.
But to your question, there is nothing more rewarding to me when I see, whether it's a seasoned guy or a young guy, whatever the case may be, if I see them advance their career and start trying something different and grow. A lot of these companies will do awards at the end of the year. And if I see one of those guys get an award, for their effort and their leadership and things like that, like there is nothing more rewarding to me than that.
Yeah.
That's
I was looking through the book because I remember grabbing a copy the last time I saw you, and I looked through it this morning, and the culture piece so important. I mean, I was mentioning Kimberly to you earlier from Thermocool, and,
Right.
and just like having all of them wear the same uniforms, not
Yeah.
the senior guys wearing blue and the younger guys wearing red, and she did things as simple as coffee in the break
Right.
room all day long and certain things like that. I mean, you hear those small things and you think, yeah, well, I mean, it's coffee, right? But when you really look at it, that stuff makes a difference. So what are some of the things culture wise in a construction industry, because they're working, there's not a lot of hanging out,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So what type of culture stuff? Awards made me think of this, right? So stuff like that. Is there anything else that you can see them doing that could improve culture?
Yeah, and so we lay it out as hygiene factors. And the example we use in the book, did you guys watch Ted Lasso?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right, so you remember in like the first season where Roy's complaining about the shower head and then he goes and gets it fixed? Yeah, that's a hygiene factor. And in that case, it's actual hygiene. But anything that it's not going to make somebody stay, but it's going to make their job easier and make them enjoy it more. So good equipment, good tools, something that we learned in COVID that just never thought of, which definitely should have, but didn't. So they didn't have hand washing stations by the porta-johns. And during COVID, they were like, oh, we got to get them hand washing statements. Then, okay, why haven't we been doing this
The whole time?
And everybody really likes it. So now every job site has hand washing station with this particular company. But it's like you were talking about the coffee in the break room. It's the little things like that, like making sure everybody has plenty of water, and that's an OSHA requirement as well. But do we provide them proper PPE? And
Right.
do we give them the tools they need to be successful? Those kind of things. So that's one just
It does make it
small-
pleasant to
Yeah.
have what you need. And,
right? Yeah. That's one small cultural thing you can do. And then, what I tell people all the time, your company has a culture, whether you've got it on a poster board in the break room or not. They've got a culture. And
Right.
if you're not sure what that is, ask your hourly guys and ask your customers.
And they'll tell you.
They will tell you. They'll tell you what it's like to work with XYZ company. They'll tell you what it's like to work for that company. And so you may say, like, we've got a culture of just excellence. And then, you go talk to that laborer and he's like, I don't know if that's the term I would use.
You're right.
Yeah. Maybe that's what you want, and we can try to get there. But
Right.
so your original question, like what kind of cultural things, the biggest thing is define it and go after it.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Me too.
So as far as sizes of these organizations that you're working with, I mean, how big are these companies? How many employees are there?
They range from 30 to 200 employees, more of like the mid-size construction companies.
Yeah, it's I just go back to conversations with you and Kimberly. I got to get y'all connected.
Yes, please do.
I'd
I'd love
both
that.
share that passion for
Absolutely.
the workplace and in an area where this is just not really talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we don't even know to talk about it.
Yeah.
And now it's
Right. Who thought? I mean, way to go.
It's
You thought of it.
Yeah.
It's getting a little more. People are hearing that statistic more about this, and they're like, "Oh, let's make sure everybody knows that we have an EAP." And that, again, good. I appreciate that, but we're trying to incorporate that a little bit more, give people the direction, because again, as a therapist, when I show up to the job site, that's people are a little guarded. And also, like they've never even heard the word therapy, much less considered it. But even more than that, like, we don't know what's going on. I could be severely depressed and I don't understand. I just know I feel bad.
Yeah. I'm ready for you to start doing groups on site.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a hoot?
Yeah.
They'd probably end up, they'd love it eventually.
Well, I do a lot of leadership groups, but we're careful not to go in the mental health. Yeah.
Right.
For sure. Well, it's important because in construction, there's so many different leaders that do so many different things. I mean, you've got this guy that runs this division, this guy that runs this division, and you need all those guys at the top on the same page as far as communicating and culture and all that. I mean, it's super, super important. Go back to the first time you showed up on a site in comparison to now, and how much you've had to have learned. So, I mean, at this point, you could probably start a construction business, I would imagine.
I don't know about that.
Vitality Construction.
But I have learned a little bit about reading plans. I've learned a little bit about shooting grade. So
can you drive a crane?
Yeah,
I cannot. You don't want me trying.
Heavy equipment for Craig.
Right.
I will tell you this: my counseling skills in working in substance abuse treatment came in very handy, because as you guys know, people in recovery, especially early in recovery, can be very resistant. You don't know what it's like to be me. You've never been in my shoes.
Right.
Construction guys, very similar. You don't dress like me. You're not out here in the 100 degrees every day.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had to use a lot of those skills. Number one, a lot of motivational interviewing, a lot of roll with resistance. Number two, a lot of, and as a therapist, I tell people this all the time, you have to build rapport pretty quickly. You have a stranger coming in who's about to talk to you, who hasn't told this stuff to anybody in their life, and you've got to build trust with them.
Right.
So a lot of those micro skills, the small things, mirroring body language, making sure you're not elevating your voice, anything like that. A lot of those things, and then finding common ground. Depending on the company, once they get to know me a little bit, they start to realize, oh, okay, he grew up on a farm. He knows a little bit. Like, and I'll tell him, like, I'm not trying to come out here and build a bridge. I can't do that. You don't want me doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
I respect what you do, love what you do. But just finding that human connection there. And it was very similar early in my career working in treatment, right? It's, again, you've not been in my shoes. You can't know me. There's no way you can help me. And then finding some kind of common ground to say, no, I haven't been in your shoes, but let's see if we can't work together.
Right.
Going back to what we were speaking about earlier, I had that friend who was struggling, with some mental health stuff.
Right.
He's not a substance abuse guy. And in my mind, in his mind, when he looks at me, he sees a guy, you were a drug addict, you're an alcoholic, it's not the same.
Right.
And, my message to him when we had lunch a couple weeks ago was, look, man, your life's unmanageable, my life's unmanageable. I took I-55 and you took Highway 49 and we ended up at the same place.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So two things. One, while you may not be experiencing what he experienced, you experience human pain and suffering. And kind of to your point of unmanageable and powerlessness, as I was doing the tour, Carly asked me like what I thought about the 12 steps. And I do go to this. I think at some point in all of our lives, we're going to hit something, whether it's alcohol, drugs, cheese pizzas, where we become powerless.
Yes.
And we realize that I'm powerless over this, and this has become unmanageable.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
Then you got a really tough decision to make and some work to do. So it doesn't matter, again, alcohol and drug, yeah, that's easy to see. But it could be depression. Again, it could be Oreos, whatever
Yeah.
it is
Right.
for you. It is going to be, it could be work.
And
you
it's
know?
inevitable.
Exercise.
Everybody has
Yeah.
something.
Everybody has something. And so all that to say, so yeah, I do agree with the 12 steps. I mean, is it the end all be all? Probably not. But when they work, it works if you work it, right?
Yeah, right.
If you work it well, any of us can relate to that. So whatever your friend's going through, but to your point, he's reached a point in his life where it's become unmanageable. He's powerless over it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it doesn't always mean addiction. It just means there's something
Right.
that is kicking my butt that I need some help with.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
for
all
sure.
it comes down to.
And that's kind of what I kept trying to drive home to him, because he continued.
Yeah.
You know, it was me and another friend of ours who's been in treatment for substance abuse. And
Mhm.
he's like, I'm not like y'all. I'm like, your experiences haven't been exactly like ours.
Right.
But
Don't flatter yourself.
But a lot of them have.
We may have more in common.
Right.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know
we all
do.
grew up in the same environment.
Right.
Right.
We all hung out with the same people.
Right.
We have more similarities than you think.
Right.
You know, I just chose to do this.
Yeah.
And at
Right.
one point, I didn't have a choice to do it. I had to.
Right.
And you're at a point where you're having lunch with me for a reason.
Right.
You know, there's some willingness in there.
Right.
And what you know that I can help you in some capacity
Right.
with resources, whatever the case may be. Otherwise, you would not be here. So there are some similarities.
That's
here,
right.
You know?
And that's the whole thing, right? Whatever it is, it manifests in people differently. Whatever your thing
Right.
is, it could manifest in alcohol and drugs, could manifest differently. It could manifest in, you know, I'm angry and don't know how to develop people if they didn't come from this certain background. So I'm frustrated.
Right.
Well, that becomes unmanageable when you don't have anybody. We don't have anybody else to take over if you're not here, you
Mhm.
know, and you become the bottleneck. And so, you know, we all hit that wall at some point. And like I said, whatever it is
Mhm.
can look differently for different people, but
Right.
we're all going to hit it multiple things
Yeah.
probably.
I still hit
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
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 I still hit it. But, you know, there's tools, whether it's the 12 steps, whether it's church, whether it's a therapist, whatever the case may be, there is help out there. You
And
know?
that's one really good thing is like once you accept that in one area, then you start to realize, oh, okay, I've done this before in a different capacity, you know, whether it was with the 12 steps or church or mentorship or therapy or, you know, whatever the case may be. So like you said, I go back to my tool bag and this is what worked last time. It's not working as much this time. How do we mix and match?
And I think, and I know we've kind of transitioned a little bit, but I think the key for people like us, and I say people like us, people that struggle with substance abuse who
Mhm.
may have had a toolkit that helped them get out of a deep hole. Maybe they've been sober for a long time. Using that toolkit as a justification for bad behavior or bad decisions that's where the gray area starts. It's like, well, I know what works, right? I'll go to a meeting or whatever.
Right.
You know, I'm sitting in my truck in the parking lot eating fried chicken 3 days a week. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is unhealthy behavior,
Right.
but it's okay because like I used to do this and this really helped me.
Right.
You know, using
Right.
that as a justification because addicts are naturally selfish and manipulative, and that brain, when it starts going, it's in that process. Like I've caught myself where I'm like, I'm not okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not using drugs or alcohol, but I'm not okay. I'm working a lot. I'm not present at home. I'm eating too much. I'm
Right.
over exercising, you know, all this stuff. But I found myself having those thoughts where I'm justifying my behavior
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because I have a toolkit, because I've gone through this and gotten to this point, and that's a dangerous place to be.
Right.
Also.
I would agree with that. I think we're addict or not, we're very good at rationalizing whatever
Right.
we need to rationalize. I will tell you the trap I fell into early on as a therapist was I'm not going to go to therapy. I know what they're going to
Yes.
say.
Uh,
I've been through it before and now I am one.
Yeah.
Right.
What are they going to tell me that I don't already know?
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
And so that was a trap that or just a rationalization.
Yeah,
you
it's-
know, for
Right.
not wanting
Yeah.
to confront whatever was going on at that time. I don't even remember what was going on at the time, but I do remember those thoughts and like
Right.
having that. What am I going to tell the therapist? You know, I already know all their tricks.
Right.
I know what they're going to recommend.
Right.
I know this lane, and this lane. And, if he takes me down this one, I know that's where we're going.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like being your own AA sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Kind of.
sponsoring myself.
Yeah.
I know. I've read the book.
Yeah. I work the steps.
Right.
I have 2 sponsees.
Right.
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 It's the mind is a crazy thing, but I think like what we can walk away from this whole thing is I want to go back to when you were talking about the process about how you approach a person when those difficult conversations start. You're objective. You're not telling them things that you may not know to be true. You're coming at them with black and white, like, hey, you were late to work.
Yes.
Nothing else really matters. This is not what's happening, and this is what needs to happen. Coming at somebody, I mean, that's the same way as a therapist, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I ran into a client. He needed somebody to talk to about certain things. And, you can kind of bring them back to objectiveness.
Right.
You bring them back. And I think that key builds trust immediately, right? It's like, all right, this guy's not telling me who I am. He's telling the truth, whether I like it or not.
Right.
And building that trust quickly, like you said, because that's the key. You have somebody you've never talked with before. They're coming in. Hey, I don't know you. You don't know me, but I know this, and you know this also. So let's start here.
Right.
That's like, that's something that we do here that I think is super powerful. But more so than anything, the key to being objective and approaching people that are struggling and just letting people know that there's resources.
Yeah.
And like, hey, there's help everywhere.
And it's a couple of things on that. I always tell people just stick to the observable and measurable behavior. Don't go off what you've heard or what you You may even be right. You may be spot on, but that doesn't matter. Stick to the observable and measurable behavior.
You don't need to even mention that. Like, I heard.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it goes back to like we were talking about earlier. My first thing is we don't know that to be true, so I'm going to deflect.
Exactly.
So observable and measurable behavior, but I have also found that people, if they just have a framework, they're willing to do something, willing to work within it. And obviously you do this at work, but then you start doing it with your spouse. Hey, I need to have a hard conversation with you about something that's been bothering me. Okay.
Right.
I don't want you to feel like I don't love you. I do want you to know that I'm committed to working this out, but I want to talk with it. Does that work for you? So you start using it at home, that kind of stuff, because it kind of sets our expectations a little bit, and it lowers our defenses because it's human nature. I'm going to feel attacked because you're bringing up something that I have or have not done. So I'm going to feel attacked. My response is to defend myself. And another thing I'll coach people on is just, say something along the lines of, hey, if everything doesn't come out the way I planned, I'm just working on it, so just bear with me. So immediately, what does that do to you?
I don't know.
Like, I'm gonna tell you some hard things, but if it doesn't come out the way I planned, can you just bear with me? Typically, it's okay. Craig's about to say something serious.
Right.
Yes.
He's working on it though, so if I misinterpret something, I'm more inclined to give him grace. And more inclined to hear him out. As opposed to just jumping back in attack mode. Because again, human nature.
Yeah, I was ready to attack.
Oh, man.
Right,
Here we
yeah,
go.
I was like, I know I'm not supposed to attack, but.
Yeah, you're like, I don't even know you, but I'm
right.
Yeah.
What are you about to criticize me?
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, that's communication.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just healthy communication.
That's what it all boils down to, and what a lot of our problems come down to.
I mean, you look at it, it's kind of the common denominator for, especially in that world. Like, those guys are not used to communicating about anything.
For all of us.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
And
tell just people take the risk and just take the risk and see what have you got to lose.
Right. Well, and that's where the framework and the app, all that comes in handy, because then you feel a little bit more comfortable taking the risk.
Right.
But I tell people all the time, like, I wrote a book on it, and I will mess up.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, we're just
right.
Different people trigger us in different ways, or we're just having an off day, or whatever the case may be. So I mean, we're human.
Yeah,
we're not robots.
Right.
That's right.
We're just trying to go from yelling every day to
4 days
twice
a week.
Yeah. Progress, not perfection.
Yeah, exactly. Same
yeah.
principles.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Craig, where can people find the book? People can find the app, obviously on the App Store, I would imagine. Tell us all that.
Apple or Google Play. Just search Hard Hat Help. And I'm happy to send you guys over some links if you want to put them
Oh, that'd
when you
be
post
great.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
For Vitality, you can go to vitalitycouncil.com. Look us up. We're in Madison. We do telehealth all over the state. And construction is coachingforconstruction.org. There you can find the book on Amazon. It's called The Construction Leadership Field Manual. Just search for super handsome author Mississippi.
Yes.
And it should pop
He'll
up
top of the
right
list.
away.
Top of the
Yeah,
list.
Yeah, but coachingforconstruction.org is the website for that, and there's talks about all the construction stuff as well.
Okay. We're going to put your picture up. We're going to put your email address, whichever one you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Are you accepting companies reaching out? Yeah.
New clients.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because we're gonna push this out and spread the good word.
As far as mental health, if for some reason, I always tell people, if we're not a good fit for you, we will help you find somebody who is.
That's
you know?
great.
That's why we like working with y'all.
Yeah, and we love it too. And then the same with construction. That's just me, but I tell people it needs to be a good fit for both of us. So we set up a call, all of that. But yeah,
You're spread thin.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's all really exciting. It's been, we've kind of grown out here, and you've grown over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been really good.
and I can't say enough about it. I am glad I came out here and toured it. It is so nice, so clean. Everybody, all the staff that I've interacted with have been very friendly. It's beautiful out here. So yeah, like I said, I've certainly sent people and referred people out here before, but definitely feel comfortable with it.
It's one of those places where if you're not, most people that are not running a huge practice and doing consultation, they usually get a chance to come out here. But we're only 4 years too late.
Well, I am glad that we made this work.
Yeah.
I
Right
really
on
and
time.
truly am.
It's
Yeah.
one
Right
of those
on time.
Exactly where we need to be.
It's one of those places, if you're around, you just need to come see it.
That's right.
Especially when you're here at lunch and it's like you can see the staff, you can see the clients, and you get, Carly probably didn't even really have to talk that much. It's like,
Yeah.
you kind of take it all
Well,
in.
I'm gonna get a little meta on you for a minute, but
Get meta.
I remember when working at Clearview and seeing so many people's lives change so rapidly, and it was like you showed up to work and you knew God was there too. And you get kind of the same feeling here. And again, I don't want to get too just like over the top, but when you get to see that, when you get to experience it, then you feel it. And you feel it in the staff, you feel it on the grounds and all of that. And again, I know that can sound cheesy to somebody who's never really dove into it, but it matters. Like
it does.
Matters. Yeah.
I get
really
real
does.
cheesy. I mean, the first time, I had multiple treatment episodes. I'm in, long-term recovery. And when I pulled in this gate and drove through those trees, I was like, it's here.
Something was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's here.
It's definitely here
There's
for
no
sure.
doubt. Well, Craig, really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
This has been so informative.
Well, thank you both for having me. Thank
and
you for
so
the work that you
neat
do.
and so out of the box. Like, this is really good.
Yeah.
Courtney and I have been talking, we're only 7 or 8 episodes in, but like we're learning, from people like you. So
Right.
that's the whole goal of this. It's like when we push this out, somebody else, even if it's one person to help.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So-
And that's the same with Hard Hat Help. Like if it, no matter the cost, whatever, if we have saved one life, that it was
Worth it.
Worth everything.
Can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, Craig, again, thank you, my friend. And we're looking forward to hearing about the growth that continues. And we will check in with everybody next week. Thanks.